U.S. Coast Guard. One is literally right across the water there, which I don't think it was Marine One.
Hi, everybody. There is an event occurring in Washington, D.C. There's been an American Airlines jet that has crashed coming out of Kansas City. No, maybe not Kansas City. It's just happened. So apparently it was a helicopter ran into it. There's it's in the jet is in the Potomac River. Okay, so the headlight, it's starting to get out now in the news. Okay. So I'm trying to find us like a live feed. Oh my God, I'm shaking. I'm so nervous about this. I'm not going to really talk about why, but let's see if I can. Okay, so this is where they're looking for the jet. I don't think there's it would be it's not likely because of the location. It's not likely that it would be a private helicopter. There are approximately 60 passengers on board with the crew. The flight coming out of, the flight coming out of Kansas. Breaking, let's see, plane crash in Washington, D.C. I'm looking, hang on. Oh, okay, so now we do have some live pictures. I don't know how I saw it before everybody else did. Okay, good. Well, I mean, not good, but at least we have something now. Let me change what you guys are looking at. Hold on. Okay, now they're saying 76 passengers. The airplane was landing. There's confusion about the helicopter, why it was in that area. Eyewitness. Okay, so so this person is an air traffic controller. Hold on. I'm listening to someone. Hold on. Okay, so an air traffic controller who's off duty, but he's talking right now. He says that so tracking on flight radar, they're saying that they don't think it was intentional. Eyewitnesses are saying it may be a military. It looked like a military. No. Okay, so the FAA just came out and said that the aircraft collided with a Black Hawk helicopter. They don't know if it was a U.S. Air Force Black Hawk or an Army Black Hawk. The squadron operates with Marine Force One. Oh my God, y'all. Okay, I'm not going to be talking for a few minutes. I need to make a phone call. I'm not going to be talking though, okay? Just keep watching. So, okay, so Pete Hegseth has been like, now he's head of the Pentagon, and he has been requiring all of the 4-star generals to come into the Pentagon and meet face to face over a desk. And so there has been a dramatic increase in military traffic at this airport and the others in the area, bringing these 4-star, 5-star generals into Washington, D.C. That is just part of the current environment. They don't know that is connected at all with this crash, but it is a little bit of interesting fact, right? It's kind of curious. It is a Black Hawk helicopter. Eyewitnesses said that it was not blackened. It wasn't cloaked. It was lit up like it was supposed to be. Looks like the helicopter flew right into the plane. Are you seeing some recording of that, Critter Watcher? Where are you finding that? I mean, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of video, because the airport was packed. So I'm not even really seeing, it's not even being really talked about yet. Where are you getting that, Critter X has video in the news feed. Why am I not getting it? I'm in trending.
All right, styling. Okay, I can hear it now.
And what? I've got somebody. Okay, so we're about to have
like
somebody
everybody
talk.
trying to jump in the coffin here.
No, just tell us. You're on film,
Yeah,
honey.
who is this?
You're live. Somebody tell her she's live. Boy, she looks really frustrated, doesn't she?
We're at Haynes Point.
Can you guys hear okay? If you can hear it okay, put a 1. Oh my gosh. This is so horrible. I'm not as panicked as I was, but
5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Microphone check.
I'm looking for the video, y'all. Watch the altitude drop to 0 over the river.
Boy, it is amazing the people that have come out for this.
Oh, it says that there's a boat that has picked up some survivors. Yay. Awesome. A 100 ambulances on scene. This happened at the Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. Oh, I think I found the, okay, thank you so much, Critter Watcher. I got the video right here. I don't feel like I should watch it. Do we know? Are we sure that this is actually?
Well, what I can see here is grim. We're going to show you what it looks like, two separate efforts all along the Potomac here near National Airport. But what I can tell you
It
is they
went
appear
right into the damn
to be
plane.
searching
Why?
for
What the hell?
the remains of these aircraft, and we do not see any place at which they are out there attempting or have located an area for recoveries. I can tell you that what we did see earlier is the Odyssey, the commercial boat that takes people up and out on cruises in this area along the Potomac, and they were out for a while. We no longer see them. So what we see are helicopters. We saw a boat earlier out here, appearing to be searching this area, trying to find the location of where this plane is. And given the conditions here, given the water, given the darkness, it is certainly extremely concerning at this point that they have not made a location. And there you can see this is one of the planes we believe possibly Coast Guard that has been going up and down here during this time, and they appear to be trying to search for a location to begin the efforts to make rescue and recovery on this plane.
The water temperature is freezing. Hey, Jude, that is going to be, if they don't get to the survivors fast, it won't. It'll be like going. Yeah, it's freezing. Oh my God. And it was, it was a military plane, a military helicopter, right? And an Apache at that. It's just awful. It's just awful. Oh, yeah. God, please be with these people and their family and friends. This is just, it is the worst. It is the worst.
Well, I can tell you, I entered the news business right after the Air Florida crash in the 1980s, and that is an historic moment in Washington D.C. This, if it is what it looks like, and tragically it does look like,
she's making reference to a plane crash that happened in the 80s. A plane was taking off from Reagan, and it went into the Potomac as it was taking off.
Understandable given the darkness, is that I do not get the feeling they have located this plane, or either serving to everyone involved. Obviously, the first goal.
We don't know yet, Irony Rose.
Rescue folks, and we are just not seeing that from this perspective right now.
Okay, so apparently they still are looking for the plane. That's really odd, though, because the planes are supposed to have lights on them. Yes, there is a video. I'll come back to this in just a moment, y'all. Let me share something else with you. Hold on. I want to tell everybody this flight was originating from Kansas. We know that it is an aircraft that has the capacity to carry up to 78 people, and it looks like it was a Black Hawk helicopter that ran into the airplane as it was landing. It is very confusing. The Black Hawk helicopter could have been a U.S. Air Force, a U.S. Army, or There's also a fleet, a squadron that is there with Marine Force 1 and 2, the helicopters that fly the executive branch. They have not told us which of those 3 planes that it actually is. So I know there's some, some of us are kind of panicked, but all you can do is wait to know. So this is supposed to be the no, I'm kind of freaked out, so I'm sorry. I put the same thing up, didn't I? Hang on and okay, so this is the footage of the actual collision. Well, they're saying that it's the footage of the collision. The collision happens over here, right here. So don't look at this plane up here. It's happening down low, down here. See, here's the helicopter. See, you can see the Black Hawk is lit up and he runs right into the damn plane on purpose. What the hell? What in God's name? Why did he do that? We've got another plane. There's 2 things that bother me about this. It did, y'all. It totally targeted that plane. There's a couple of issues. My God, what in the people are unhinged. Who did it on purpose? Look at it. Look, it goes straight for it. Right up behind it. No question. That pilot, it is looking out if you were in the helicopter, it's coming up behind the plane. It's tracking behind the plane. Look at that. Why? Was that rainforest? What is that? Hold on. Shit. Okay, you know what? I need to I'm still here. American Airlines 5342 from Wichita, Kansas, inbound. And no one wants to say, why are they not? Okay, we should be getting more. Why would okay, so that is going to be, let's see. Is that tomorrow? Let's see. I just got a message. Hold on, let me double check something I was just told. I need to check something. Jesus Christ. I don't think it looks like it's in the water, actually. Okay, y'all. I need like 15 minutes, okay? I'm gonna put up this live screen. I need to talk to somebody. So here's the live. Okay, so I'm not, I've got the sound on if she comes back. So I'm gonna mute myself. So I'm sorry to do this, but I'm trying to get some information. Okay, so I'll
need to talk to whoever is producing, please. Okay. is this? Bakari, this is Jackie Benson. Are you coming to us again? Because I have some new information, a new angle on this. Okay, bye. They're coming to us after this, after Doug. Copy, Matt?
Yeah, no, it's not that.
And that's Fort Alexandria, correct?
Alexander is over there,
What-
where the red is.
Yeah.
That's Bowling's Air Force Base. The long lights is Wilson Bridge.
Okay.
So it's closer to Wilson Bridge.
Okay. Focus of their area now.
What?
Yeah. What? Matt?
What's the focus of that?
Down there.
Yeah, that's where we're correct.
Okay, and that's Wilson Bridge?
Wilson Bridge
Stop.
is all the Air Force Base.
I just want to show you something that has happened here. This scene, what you're looking at down there, is the just to the left of the Wilson Bridge. That appears to be the area where everything is concentrated right now. And I am guessing from what Julie Carey said about the recovery of survivors, it is that area down there, south of the airport, that is where most of the rescue activity is focused right now. So we're hoping that is the area that they've located and have their rescue efforts ongoing. As Doug said, it is incredibly cold out here tonight. The wind is making the temperature seem much colder, and you just have really got a feel for what's going on down there. The massive presence of all these boats, all these vehicles, just trying to get down there and help these folks. So as soon as we get more information, we'll come back to it.
That might be the national.
Sir? What? Here. Yep. That's where it is.
We're closing the whole Hayes Point, so you guys can pack up and leave.
Okay.
All
We're
right.
going to be locking this place up.
that we've had confirmed coming in there. But again, a helicopter and small aircraft, that's at least the information that we've had confirmed coming in there. But again, a helicopter and small aircraft, that's at least the information that we've had confirmed coming in there. But again, a helicopter and small aircraft, that's at least the information that we've had confirmed coming in there. But again, a helicopter and small aircraft, that's at least the information that we've had confirmed coming into there.
Yeah, Irony Rose, it's a
coming in there,
Black
but
Hawk helicopter.
Again, a helicopter and
Nobody
small
has a
aircraft,
Black
that's at least
Hawk,
the
but the
information that
military.
we've had confirmed coming into there. But again, a helicopter and small aircraft, that's at least the information that we've had confirmed coming into there. But again, a helicopter and small aircraft.
Okay, so it is a Black Hawk helicopter. Still don't have word on the fleet that it was with. We don't know if it's U.S. Air Force. We don't know if it's U.S. Army. We don't know if it is part of the Marine Force squadron that serves the executive branch. All three of those groups have the Black Hawk in this area. The Air Force, there's some on a carrier. It is also, they're claiming that the man, I don't want to talk about that. The president is on the way to the crash site near the Potomac. He is aboard the Doomsday plane. The Pentagon. What? Oh, God, that's Dr. Ferrante. Is very strange, y'all. There's some very unusual. When would that be, though? Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I took y'all away from the. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, this is the footage of the actual crash. You have to look at the low area here. This plane is not involved at all. Okay, this big one here is not involved. There's the helicopter right there. It literally an American Black Hawk helicopter. They're only military, the only people that have the Black Hawk. And the U.S. Army is a very limited number. U.S. Air Force has the majority. And then the Marine Force One is actually, it flies alongside whatever the executive branch is flying in combat formation. This Black Hawk literally just flies right up to this American Airlines hopper flight and just piles into the back end of it like it's a beeline. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go down. It doesn't wobble. Just straight in. It is so terrifying to watch. It is really strange. Okay, so they have, they have pulled out, they've rescued 4 survivors. That is verified number. I was told something else, but I don't think I want to talk about it yet. I just want to wait because I don't understand. Let's see if I can find a. And that's the other thing that's so bizarre. There's no like individuals on the ground, or they're blocking their. Usually you can get individuals that are filming, right? And there's nobody. Here's a. That's not it. I thought we might be able to find someone. I'm still looking. Thought we might be able to find someone that actually was there watching the rescue operations. And just so that you guys know, all right, let me change you to a different screen. That looks like some wreckage. They also heard there was a crash when the collision happened, but it's let's see, how do I say this? People are saying that they heard a loud explosion, and the question is, was it a secondary explosion, or was it its own independent? Like, was there ordnance on board? Is what they haven't been able to determine. But again, this just happened. Like when I was told about it, there was not any news on TV yet or anything. So we're just let's see. Nothing yet there. Man, there is just it is just quiet, isn't it? It's so hard to. Okay, let me try a different approach. Okay, so it was, I mean, I've already said all this, but just for the new people that are getting here, passenger aircraft carrying 64 people collided with the U.S. Okay, they're saying it's a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. It approached the runway. There are no confirmed casualties at this time, according to Metropolitan Police Department.
Sure.
There's a massive emergency response underway at the DC's Potomac River. The plane
Any of them on
airline,
rescues
American
or
Airlines
just-
flight 5342 coming out of Kansas had 60 passengers and 4 crew members on board. The White House confirmed that it is in fact a military helicopter involved in the incident. All takeoffs and landings have been halted at Reagan National Airport. There is no confirmed information of casualties at this time, and that statement was made at 8:53 p.m. So just let's see, Kansas senators. Okay. Senators Jerry Moran and Roger Marshall of Kansas say they are in contact with authorities after news that the plane that crashed in the Potomac River was coming from Wichita. Learning that a plane inbound from Kansas was involved in a crash, I'm in contact with authorities. Please join me in praying for all who are involved. Marshall responded, we are in contact with authorities working to get answers. We ask you to join us in prayer for every single passenger and their families. It was 40 minutes ago. We already know this. FAA confirmed that a Sikorsky H-60, that's the official name of a Black Hawk. The Sikorsky H-60 helicopter was approaching the runway when it ran into the American Airlines flight 5342. The plane was a PSA Airlines Bombardier CRJ 700. That is all. Isn't that crazy? They don't really know much of anything. We do know the Doomsday airplane is en route to Washington. Oh, shoot. I'm not going to subscribe to that. Okay. Breaking news. Breaking news. Breaking news. Let's see if they've got any. They haven't said a single word about casualties. That's what's so frustrating, isn't it? When you're trying to find good information, and even the news is. Okay, let me try this one. Hold on. Okay, this looks like a discussion of pilots.
Or tell a helicopter to deviate somewhere else.
But air traffic control would be trying to coordinate this dance.
Yes. That would be ideally what would be happening. At nighttime, you think about seeing things in the day, and aircraft have lights and they flash, but there's a lot of lights in the DC area, and a helicopter flying at 300 feet is going to blend in with a lot of those lights. And it's going to be incredibly hard sometimes to spot the other things. Like you can see in that traffic camera we had up a second ago. That flashing light there is probably either one of the helicopters in the air or another airliner that's having to go somewhere else. But But that's kind of what they look like. But obviously, you're looking at it from the ground, looking up. Imagine being in the air, potentially higher than that light, looking down. And so you see all these little teeny lights moving. Some of them are cars, some are airplanes. And that's just to say, it can be incredibly hard to spot another aircraft at night. And your eyes also don't work as well at night. You have to do different scanning methods, basically where you scan different sectors of the sky. So think about, okay, I'm going to look 20 degrees that way, and then
Thank
stop,
you,
and then
reality
look
wins.
again, and try and give your eyes time to focus on whatever's in that sector versus just like looking quickly left and right, and then you don't see the smaller lights.
Okay,
when
3
you
soldiers
are in bright
on the
environments,
Black
same
Hawk. There were no
concept of when we have
VIPs
meteor showers, and
in
we tell you
the
to give your eyes a little bit of time
aircraft.
to adjust to the darkness. Well, same thing. You're in a busy light area. Your eyes are a little less sensitive, and so they don't see sometimes dimmer lights
shit.
as well.
Sipping on.
So
it
lots
did
of
take
things
off
that
again. Are you
could have been
sure?
at play here once again. But no matter what happened, now we're dealing with the impacts and the aftermath of an aircraft that's down in the water on a chilly January night.
You're positive
We have
it
a
landed and
second
took off.
reporter from a verified news agency, Jennifer Griffin here at Fox News, also reporting what we told you moments ago from the Washington Post, which is that no senior officials were aboard the Black Hawk helicopter that crashed into the American Airlines flight. It's too early for us to know the individuals who may have been amongst the manifest of the commercial flight. Certainly don't want to put any more emphasis on the cost or the value of a life of a U.S. official versus a U.S. citizen, not trying to delineate the difference between those two things. What NBC News is reporting at this hour is that the American Airlines flight operated by PSA had 60 passengers on board and 4 crew. We've been talking here tonight on our weather podcast about the conditions up there in DC. And Frank Strait, I don't know if you had a chance to look at this yet, but Tim Buckley, a chief meteorologist in Greensboro, put out this map showing the likely ice concentration of these cold waters. What do you make of this?
It landed 16 minutes ago.
You might be muted there, Frank.
There we go. Not muted anymore.
Yeah, we got you.
Pull the Scotty has to happen.
That's what we call it here.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, there's as cold as the water is, it's coming from. The Potomac River goes well
Doomsday
to the
plan
northwest
just flew
from Washington.
around,
It
circled
forms the
crash
border
area.
between Virginia and Maryland, going westward. So there's going to be some ice in that water that's going to end up in the Potomac around Washington, D.C. So that's likely to be an issue going on, especially with the waters there only slightly above freezing, a few degrees above freezing. So I doubt that all of the ice that's coming from upstream has melted by the time it gets to Washington. So there likely is some ice in the water there too.
Yeah, something that is going to be a factor for survivors and emergency officials alike. Ricky, earlier in our stream, as we were just beginning to cover this breaking news, we were counting previous historic events of aviation disaster types that have happened here in the United States. I don't know in your memory if you can just kind of piece together kind of what comes after tonight. What is the next thing that Americans can expect out of a timeline
that's why they
that is
landed
now
it, Andrew.
begun.
Likely he got off the plane.
Well, so I mean, from here we go into the investigation standpoint, and the NTSB and the FAA will be involved. They will be the two main agencies who will be investigating this. After every major aircraft incident, especially if there's loss of life or significant property damage in terms of financial damage from an aircraft, the FAA gets involved, and usually the NTSB gets involved. So the NTSB is the investigating agency, and they don't investigate to assign blame. They just investigate pretty much to figure out what went wrong so we can learn from it and try to prevent it in the future. If you ever read a crash report, it oftentimes doesn't say, they don't assign blame 100%. They'll basically say, here's what happened, and make suggestions for the future as to how we could avoid it. So that's what they'll be doing in the next couple of days is, trying to recover a lot of the aircraft data recorders. They'll also be looking through any video evidence that people may have had, security camera footage out there, trying to listen to ATC video or an audio and figure out what was said even way before these aircraft got into the area. So it's going to be a lot of gathering of data, just like police would do in any crime scene, going out, finding the evidence and collecting it. And of course, getting this aircraft out of the water and putting it back on dry land too. Both aircraft. I mean, the helicopter, and because this is an Army helicopter involved, there's obviously going to be involvement from the U.S. military, and there's going to be an investigation on the Army side. And if the crew members of the Army helicopter are still alive, there'll be questions that their command obviously has for them.
Yeah, I can think of NTSB reports we've covered here in the Carolinas on incidences such as a helicopter crash we had in Charlotte a couple years back. And some of those final reports, Ricky, they can take upwards of a year or more, and no telling how much this incident could or could not be prioritized through that process. But they could be pretty lengthy things, I guess is my point.
Yeah, I mean, this will be years more than likely before the official NTSB report comes out. And that's just because it takes a long time. And then they get different units involved too. They get experts involved that do this kind of stuff all the time. They get
witnesses,
the people who built the helicopters. Sikorsky will get involved.
That's what I
American Airlines will be involved.
Witnesses report there was a massive crash.
Other groups involved.
And then there was a loud
from
boom.
The engines
like
that are on
events.
the CRJ aircraft and the engines that are on the Black Hawk helicopter to have them inspected and look at everything and see what went wrong there.
We've been watching and monitoring the live flight conditions tonight and talking about the resources that are coming in. We're watching right now a Maryland Natural Resources Police helicopter has just made quite a lengthy jog from the Delmarva Peninsula over to the DC area to probably partake in this operation somehow. Again, flights right now at DCA Airport still halted, nothing inbound, nothing outbound. And we can see several helicopters that are continuing to fly over the Potomac River, where we understand this Black Hawk helicopter and this regional flight collided. We know that the regional flight, according to reports, had about 60 passengers, 4 crew member. We don't know how many people that Black Hawk helicopter had on board. This may have been something you guys said earlier. Let me try you first, Chris. Do you know off the top of your head approximately the maximum capacity for a Black Hawk helicopter?
Ricky, or I'm sorry, James, in that configuration, I'm not really sure if if they're going to have any kind of VIP, seating inside the Black Hawk, but I would think, probably 11-ish,
Okay.
10 to 12, maybe. Ricky.
Yeah, so James, the max crew, the crew's usually 3, and then they can carry around 11 people in a Black Hawk helicopter, but it does depend on what type of configuration is put in. For example, I flew on a U.S. Navy helicopter back in October, and we carried, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us in the back and 2 aircrew up front. And we could have carried a few more people if we needed to, space-wise, but they didn't have seats configured. So obviously, if they're transporting people, they're probably going to have to.
It doesn't
have
look
seats
like
in this case
crashed in the
but
water.
if they're transporting
Let me
different
show you what I
types
mean.
of, equipment or something like that.
Okay, so it's going to fall on this bridge. Watch the lights go out on the bridge. See right here? It doesn't look like it is in the water. Isn't that weird? And that helicopter goes straight into it. It's going to come right down. how would anyone survive that? Okay, reality wins. Let's see what she says. I've heard it from the emergency crew. American Airlines confirmed an American Eagle Flight 5342. So the White House has put out a statement, but it is very generic and just, apologizing, being sad for the event. They call it an accident. The Potomac had pancake ice 3 days ago. Probably sound travel speed. They saw the crash and then the boom. That's a very good point. Fatal paper cut. Yeah. Yes. It is true that the American Airlines plane did not run into the helicopter. The helicopter seemed to come up from behind and basically run right up into the back of the airplane. Yes, sunset gazing, light seeing a lightning bolt, and then seconds later hearing the thunder. Okay, so Scotty says that they saw the part of the lights go out, and that part of the wreckage hit land. Perhaps it was the helicopter, perhaps, because multiple people are saying that the plane is in the water. Exactly, Cinnamon. Now there are 14 bodies on shore. 4 are survivors. We don't know. That hasn't been reported, Sketty Nona. It looks like it though, and then some stuff I can't say, but it it does look like there was damage to something fell on the bridge. Runway 33, 300 feet up landing. Did not have tracking on. Ugh. Really? Okay, well, I'm really thinking who was on the airplane. Can we get to that? Because that's a problem. Millie lost his
from DCA Airport, which is again right there on the border between Virginia, Washington, D.C., and Maryland. And Chris Jackson, one of our aviation experts on with us tonight here in the Carolina Weather Group, putting in our chat that DCA Airport will be closed until 5 a.m. at the very least, with the possibility that will be expanded even further as this a rescue operation turns to an investigation in the hours ahead. This has been a unexpected special live edition of the Carolina Weather Group. We were in the midst of our weekly show covering weather, science, and technology here in the Carolinas. We were talking about ongoing wildfires that are burning tonight in western North Carolina, an area that was hit hard during Helene and is now once again experiencing an emergency of their own. With information scrolling at the bottom of your screen, this is Old Fort, North Carolina in McDowell County.
No,
this is just outside of Asheville. For any of our national and regional viewers who may have joined us for tonight's plane coverage, we were talking about these wildfires and the prime fire threats that we have here in the southeast tonight. So that is also something we'll keep a close eye on. The other thing that we were intending to spend the second half hour of our podcast talking about was President Trump's visit to Asheville just past Friday. As we continue to update you here in the Carolina Weather Group of the ongoing recovery to Helene, we'll bring you some of those clips at another time, as certainly we pivoted to the major breaking news outside of the Washington, D.C. area. But I think as we come across this 11 o'clock Eastern hour here, we're going to go ahead and start to wrap up this special edition of the Carolina Weather Group. Again, our many thanks to Ricky Matthews and Chris Jackson, friends of the show, aviation experts, pilots, and emergency trained personnel themselves, along with our panel, Frank Strait and Scotty Powell. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte, North Carolina. We hope the absolute best for everyone involved in this tragedy that has unfolded here outside of Washington, D.C. And we will continue to keep all of those families in our thoughts, in our prayers. We will send you now onto your evening and give a special hug to your loved ones. We'll see you back here again real soon for a different edition of the Carolina Weather Group.
Yep, that's what I thought. It's very strange. Tulsi Gabbard's confirmation hearing.
The 60s, what a time to be alive. It was Kennedy's America, and we were fit and healthy. Obesity was just 13%.
Hold on. Let me get you something up on the screen. All right. This is a live view. You can see that they're on the bridge, right? That's right before getting to the water's edge. This is the runway, yes? Wow, that is really... okay, so Tulsi Gabbard's confirmation hearing for the Director of National Intelligence. That is an uber powerful position. Those confirmation hearings are scheduled for tomorrow morning, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time. That is very curious timing.
Guardian 3 Tower. Guardian 3 Rogers, report landing assured.
Okay, so the governor of Kansas is Laura Kelly. She is a Democrat. She took office January the 14th, 2019. She recently delivered the 2025 State of the State address on January 15th, 2025. David Toland is the lieutenant governor. The Secretary of State is Scott Schwab. State Treasurer is Stephen Johnson. Never heard of him. Attorney General Chris Kobach. U.S. Senators are Jerry Moran and Roger Marshall. U.S. Representatives are Ron Estes, Jake LaTurner, Sharice Davids, and Tracy Mann. Okay, so she's meeting with senators tomorrow. I wish they'd put some more information out, y'all. I hate not having any information. Oh, that's wonderful. Keep up the chatter. Do we know how long between communication and impact? Let me see what Sipping On is putting out. Hold on. Okay. Yes, an F-35 fighter jet crashed today in Alaska 22 hours ago. The helicopter was asked if they had the CRJ in sight. There was no response. It continued toward the plane. And she was not, Melissa. She's verified in Washington, D.C. tonight. Okay, per an aviation expert, looking at the video, the chopper was ascending as the plane was descending. He said all planes have blind spots, but that Black Hawks have good visibility. But the The Black Hawk ran into the plane. The plane did not run into the Black Hawk. Yes, Scotty. It does look like something actually hit ground. Just seeing a report of ATC asking the helicopter if they saw the plane and did not get a response. Wow. And it was ascending at the same time. Oh, not good.
Guardian 3 radar service terminated. Please change this proof.
So, sipping on, are you watching the Doomsday plane? Like, has it left the area now? Okay, 3 planes have been diverted to Baltimore, Washington, sitting on the tarmac. Yeah, Millie had his credentials pulled, and then a couple of days later, he lost security detail. 3 sources say that it took off. I'm sorry I'm not talking a lot. I'm trying to get the So Kash Patel is supposed to also talk with the senators tomorrow. I guess the people they pulled from the water must have been the soldiers, huh? All right, 12 people on the way to the hospital, 7 men and 5 women. That's wonderful news. Transponder was turned off. Oh, shit. Oh, it was terrible, DB. Reagan Airport.
One, try to zones 4, 5, and 6.
Reagan Airport is a Class B airport, which requires aircraft to have a transponder on within 30 nautical miles of the airport. Military has to abide by FAA regulations within U.S. airspace. They did, C-Star. It was incredibly I thought Elizabeth Warren was going to have an aneurysm. This woman was screaming at the top of her lungs. It was very strange. 4 dive teams are in the water. Many of them were yelling. It was so odd. The level of aggression was really, really, really strange. Elizabeth Warren made or tried to make him promise that he would not listen to, these are her words now, this is a quote, that he would not try to interfere with their ability to give his kids vaccinations. What? You think you have the right to just give children vaccinations without their parents' consent? It was really strange. It was kind of eerie, actually. But they did yell at him. Like, it was pretty unusual. Exactly, Critter Watcher. It's like, can we just have a conversation? Why do we have to, act like a emotional female? Hold on, I just got a text. Let me see. Hold on. I need to mute. I'll be right back. Okay, let me call this person. Okay. Some odd, I can't, I think it's just trolls, but there's some strange, hold on, there's some weird comments being made. Okay, so statement from the White House, President Donald J. Trump. I've been fully briefed on the terrible accident which just took place at Reagan National Airport. May God bless their souls. Thank you for the incredible work being done by our first responders. I am monitoring the situation and will provide more details as they arise. Kash Patel better not have been on that airplane. Here is the, okay, so the audio transcript from air traffic control. The air traffic control says to the helicopter, do you have the CRJ in sight? Meaning the American Airlines flight. The Black Hawk helicopter affirmed, yes, that they saw it. And the aircraft controller moments later said, do you see the CRJ? Do you see their lights? And then there was silence. And then a few minutes later, then there was a collision. That doesn't sound good, does it? Why would they go unconscious you got to remember this is military, and these particular Black Hawks, you've got a 1 in 3 chance that was an executive branch helicopter. It's really strange. How did the helicopter not see the airliner? Why was the transponder turned off? People are questioning if perhaps the helicopter was stolen. From where? It's a damn Black Hawk. They're not just sitting around, right? The Black Hawk was VIP transport. Well, you don't know. We don't know that. Nobody is very now. I will probably know when. So far, it's not determined. All that is being kept quiet. We don't know if it is. Oh no. We did see someone that said Army, but that is not. I don't think that they know. I think that's still locked down information. Helicopter would continue if it had been hijacked. The location of where it happened does not make sense. The timing does not make sense. This person, I've been a pilot for 40 years. Something is not right. A military pilot would know this is a final for 3-3. It is horribly suspicious. The speed of the helicopter was 140 miles an hour. That is nuts. I was on, oh, no. Okay, no, it wasn't incompetence. This is an Apache pilot. They are, okay, so the Apache aircraft are not, new pilots don't get to fly the Apache, okay? These are the best of the best. These are the absolute top-notch, most experienced, most highly trained. They're the top of the food chain, according to military pilots, right? The best of the best. This was not incompetence. This was something else. The answer is yes. If the military aircraft is in restricted airspace or operating among civilian aircraft, they do coordinate with the airport air traffic control. The air traffic tower was in contact with them. They said, yes, we see the CRJ. They just kept going straight for it. The tower said again, hey, do you see the CRJ? Do you see his lights? And it was silent. They did not respond after that. And then it hit. It never wavered. It never wobbled. It went directly into the aircraft. This is not a DEI issue. This is an Apache helicopter pilot. That Blackhawks have sensors that identify other aircrafts or objects around them. There were no high-profile targets on the helicopter. There has been no information released on VIPs or high-profile individuals that may have been on the Kansas flight. The jet airliner was aware of the Black Hawk because it was getting collision alerts. That's kind of interesting. Says the air traffic controller made a questionable directive. The tower is heard asking Pat, the helicopter, to go behind the CRJ. People, it's not a DEI Black Hawk. That doesn't exist. They're only going to be the best pilots, the top of the line. These are our fighter helicopters. It's the cavalry. These are the helicopters that come in and save the day. Oh, wow. Wow, that is interesting. No VIPs in the helicopter. Yeah, see, there's so much chatter about incompetence. It's not incompetence, you guys. Now they're saying victim count is 12. 7 female, 5 male. Let's see. Now here's okay. So a pilot has said it's possible that the helicopter was locked into the CRJ. There was an outbound CRJ that had just taken off. Maybe that's the big one that we see. That the helicopter pilot may have eyed the outbound CRJ, thinking that the inbound Kansas flight lights were part of the skyline. Interesting. Okay, so here, let me tell you this. Reagan Airport has only one primary runway that parallels the river north to south. It has two secondary runways that are much shorter and tend to take only regional jets. From the look of this accident, it appears the plane was landing on a secondary runway from the south, meaning it was basically flying up the Potomac to the north. Just before landing, planes will typically turn to align with the secondary runway at a low altitude. That takes place to the southeast of the airport, an area that tends to have a lot of helicopter traffic, including military helicopters. The use of the secondary runway is not super common. Most planes land on the primary north-south runway. The DCA airspace is insanely busy, and flights taking off have to contend with very strict no-fly zone over the Capitol, necessitating the river approach from the north and then a quick turn when departing to the north. Given all of these factors and the fact that there was a bad near collision in 2024 because of confusion between the primary and secondary runways, it's likely the helicopter and plane overlapped in an area that the air traffic controller did not focus on. That would mean that it is the tower's fault. It's so hard to understand, though, when you look at that video, right? This particular flight, let's see, the primary runway was not used. It forces the plane to approach with a shift to the right. This airplane would have gone directly over a base, which frequently has heavy helicopter traffic. There you go. It must have just picked up the wrong airplane. That is so sad. It looks like this right here is the airplane. There's a boat here and over here. No, that's not a boat. That's like a street light. Here's a boat, but you can see disruption in the water right here, and it looks like a light underneath the water right there. right there. Maybe those are maybe it's divers right there. Y'all see what I'm talking about? I wish we could zoom in even more, but I'm already at the very top. Actually, maybe this is the plane. Maybe it's the wing of the plane. I don't know. You can't really see it very well. Yeah, that kind of looks like the fuselage right there. There's so sad, isn't it? So sad. It's so hard to believe that, yeah, there's no, I'm just, Chopper acknowledged that it saw a plane, just like the plane's collision alert went off. The helicopter would have known this also. It sped up before colliding. Wow. They had a drawing of where the plane crashed. It was not in the middle of the river, but more like a side pool of water. Thank you, DB. Hey, Julie. It is so tragic. Just awful. Ugh. Yeah, and sunset gazing. Initially, the helicopter did respond to the tower. And they said, do you see the CRJ? They said, yes, we see it. They waited for a few moments. Maybe that was when they started speeding up, perhaps. The tower asked again, do you see it? Have you locked onto the lights? And there was no response. And then moments later, there was the collision. So it does have some worrisome. Now, okay, incompetent pilots do not fly 5.9, try 30 million. Yes. These are not incompetent pilots, not on the Black Hawk. No way. Exactly, C-Star. The video looks like the Black Hawk came up from behind or the side. It was kind of a little of both. It was turning into the back of the plane. So dangerous to dive a crash in the dark. Yeah, especially the Potomac. It's a particular problem. We learned about that back in the 80s when it had the very terrible plane crash that went down upon takeoff from that primary runway. That was a dark, terrible moment too. Yeah, there's two conflicting reports, Julie. Like Sunset Gazing said, we have the report that there's 12 survivors so far en route to the hospital as of like 25 minutes ago. 7 female, 5 male. There was also a report that there was 14 survivors, or no, 14 people, but they didn't clarify survivor or not. But the 12 did say they were being transported to the hospital. It is, Melissa. It's devastating, truly. There, there's been there is a scrolling phone number on the bottom of the screen. You can, if you believe you might have family or friends on this flight from Wichita, Kansas, you're supposed to call that number. Just started watching videos on plane crashes. NTSB and FBI will figure this out. Oh, for sure, Scotty. Yeah, for sure. So many prayers out to all of the people in this disaster and their families. There were on board 60 passengers and 4 crew. There's some strange reporting on Twitter, but of course, trolls, right? There's some strange reporting that there was a VIP on the airplane. I'm not going to say which VIP, just because to me, it seems like it's just trolling. But the particular VIP would not be someone who is actively in the government now. It would be someone who was previously in the government. So it just, like I said, to me, it seems like it's not true. So I wonder if the Black Hawk was supposed to escort this. No, they were. Okay, so hold on. There is a visual here. Okay, yeah, here it is. Let me show you this, and then we'll come back to this. We'll come back to the live stream in just a second. Okay. Let me show you this. Yeah, right here. All right. So, okay, so this right here is an Air Force base right here. This is Ronald Reagan Airport over here on the left side of the river. And the helicopter was coming, it was moving up like it was on takeoff, right? It was both of these craft were flying either over the water or parallel to the water. The airplane had just flown over the Joint Base Anacostia Bowling, and it is making that sharp turn left to land on this secondary runway. You see this runway here? That's the primary. So when they, if you see here, when they take off and land, they're coming and going right over the water because of closed airspace, correct? So for some reason, I mean, I guess this is something they do. I would have thought an Air Force base would be closed airspace, which is why the landing on that primary runway is so critical. But for some reason, this airplane went over the Air Force base, hooked a hard left. It's landing, so it's descending, hooks a hard left, and it's going to hit this secondary runway right here, right? The helicopter, the military Apache helicopter, this is our fighter helicopter, finest in the world. It's coming from this direction, and it is ascending. It's gaining altitude, and it basically went right into the side. It's like it targeted the American Airlines flight. I mean, the paths, when you look at the two paths, it's a perfect, hit it like right perfectly, right behind the wings. It's amazing. What do you think, that plane was considered a threat by the military? And if it was, why ram your helicopter, a $30 million helicopter, into an aircraft? Why not use your weapons? You've got it's a tactical helicopter. It can fight. It's got guns and bombs and, well, maybe not bombs, but it's really weird, isn't it? There's the water treatment plant. Strange. It says DCA nearly had a bad accident last year due to the crisscross nature of the primary and secondary runways. Jack O'Neill says that he sincerely doubts that this was purposeful. Near collisions are on the rise, and the DCA airspace is prime for issues given the regulated zone, the parallel helicopter traffic, and massive light pollution. Crazy. This night, tonight, the planes were landing on runway 1, which is the north-south trajectory. Every 8th plane was landing on runway 33. This was one of those planes. The Black Hawk was not transmitting. Why? TCAS is disabled. You know, I would agree with this guy, Jack O'Neill, about that it doesn't, look like purposeful, but it's hard because it was a Black Hawk, right? That tells you that this is something bigger. This is some of the most controlled airspace on the planet. Kevin's right about this. The helicopter should have been nowhere near the flight path. And I don't think that airplane should have gone over that Air Force base. Says this makes sense until you factor in the totally clear skies. Helicopters seem to have plenty of potential to maneuver. An experienced chopper pilot could have avoided collision if they wanted to. I would agree with that. I mean, even if you think about this, even if especially a Black Hawk, because of the maneuverability of this particular helicopter, think about it. If you've got your eyes locked onto another airplane that is far to your north and it is ascending, eventually you're going to see that damn CRJ in front of you. It doesn't matter. You're going to take evasive action, right? You're going to try to either drop your altitude. You're going to veer off to the left. I mean, this helicopter didn't do any of that. In fact, some of the air traffic controllers have kind of told friends or loved ones that the helicopter was increasing its speed. It's It's really, really something. Yes, DB. Exactly, Scotty. Yeah. So the Apache, that is your fighter helicopter. It can, the maneuverability, it's an angry wasp. That's what it is. It's just not yeah, they do paper cut. There will be footage from different angles that will give us a better idea. Well, yeah, but they've already described it. That's what I was showing you on the map. They know like where it hit. They know where they had been. They even neophytes are tracking this, online. All right, man. Crashes mid-air. I don't know why my damn computer does that. I think I must hit some button or something. Yep, it did it again. All right, I'll be right back, okay? Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what I do. Thank you, Critter Watcher. Look at my previous post to get you to a place where you can see what a helo pilot sees. It's surprisingly narrow. Yeah, but I think they were saying the Blackhawks are that they do have a good view. Hold on, let me get our live picture back. All right. Okay, now I got it. Hold on.
Just to reiterate, what we do know is that
Have y'all, anybody hear anything else? I don't know, but a lot of people are saying that it sped up. It is. I said Apache a while ago. I don't know why my brain was thinking the Apache. No, I did misspeak. So that makes it a little bit different, right? Because that's a heavier. It's still going to be. It's still a helicopter that can drop altitude easily. Yeah, I actually was thinking Apache. So I did definitely. I mean, there's no information coming out, is there? Okay, let me check some other places and see if anyone's talking. Midair collision. Federal Aviation said the crash involved a bombardier. We got that. We got the Black Hawk. Was en route from Wichita, Kansas. $60 passengers, 4 crew members. Ground stop until 5 a.m. Okay, DC and fire and emergency services personnel said that an aircraft is in the Potomac River near the airport and fire boats are on the scene. There are no confirmed information on casualties at this time. All right, that's that. All right. Holy shit. Wait till you see this. My God. This is another angle. What is wrong with it? Doesn't that look odd? Maybe that's not real. Maybe it's not real. Intentional sideways. someone was filming from the airport and seemed like they knew what was about to happen. The Black Hawk was invisible. There was no flashing beacon. Chopper is dark. $18 bodies recovered. Plane appears to be damaged, wobbling at the rear prior to being finished off by the military training helicopter. CNN knew ahead of time? What? 6 hours ago, FAA issues ground stop at Reagan National Airport after plane crashes into the Potomac. What? Okay, it didn't crash into the Potomac, first of all. It exploded in the air. Wow. Vice President says, please say a prayer for everyone involved in the mid-air collision near Reagan Airport. We're monitoring the situation, but for now, let's hope for the best. Christy Nome says, we are deploying every available U.S. Coast Guard resource for search and rescue efforts. We're actively monitoring and stand ready to support local responders, praying for the victims and for first responders. Fatalities are reported. There's a massive search and rescue operation. That helicopter is not dark. Why are people saying the helicopter was dark? It was flashing. It was not dark. Did y'all see that? Watch. You can clearly see it's got its flashing lights on. You can see it. Yeah, see, you see it's even got its lights on. It was not dark. I don't know why people do that. So frustrating. People, it's bad enough. You don't have to make it any worse. Oh, see, Kimberly's talking about the plane crash in the 80s. Those poor people were standing out on the wing of the plane. It was absolutely freezing. It was like everything was iced over. It was so bad. Yeah, you can absolutely see the helicopter. It definitely was lit up like it was supposed to be. So this is supposed to be the Metropolitan Airport Authority for Washington. But I mean,
Southwest 89.
They're probably not saying anything now at this point.
24, Jet Bridge, and all the other doors in the area are secure. Copy.
Hi, Alma. Yeah, DB. Also, they said that the flight was originally from Wisconsin. Update will be at
114 to 170.
Thank you, C Star. It's really just so
114 to 170.
It certainly wasn't Tenerife, because that, as you did point out, that was the worst air disaster in terms of loss of life, with the exception of September 11th. But that was all on the ground. So that's where a lot of ground radar actually came from, which is another, going back to last year, actually, in Japan, when we had the Japan Airlines A350 land on top of the Japanese Coast Guard Dash 8 about this time last year. That's where ground radar comes in.
Yeah, the phone number that's up is for if people think they may have a loved one on the plane.
Being involved in, or being a contributing factor to the Uberlingen air disaster that was back in, I believe, 2000, involving a DHL 757
Southwest 89.
354. They glided over the skies of Germany at cruise altitude, pulled everyone on board. And the air traffic controller provided contradictory instructions to the TCAS. The DHL aircraft followed the rules of the TCAS on descent, and the Russian pilots followed the ATC instructions telling them to descend. By the time the Russian pilots figured out that we should be listening to TCAS to climb, it was too late, and the DHL slammed inside of that airliner. So anyways, that's where TCAS is probably most famous for, and that's where we got all of it, a better system, TCAS 2, that was put out. Now, like I said, I'm not sure if TCAS could have played a role in this incident, but that is certainly something that we want to bring up, and I'm sure others will as well. Just for the layman here, what is TCAS? So that's traffic collision avoidance system. It's just like how air traffic controllers, we have a radar for pointing out where planes are. Some aircraft, pretty much all airliners, have the same system or a similar system where it points out.
Okay, so since that is not really broadcasting anything interesting, let's do this. We'll go here.
To be deeper than most of the river. So the Anacostia Channel runs along the eastern half of the Potomac there. It's at a depth of about 30 to 35, 36 feet in some spots on that eastern flank, close to the river. Now, most of the river itself, once you get beyond that very narrow channel there, most of the river is about 5 to 15 feet deep. After that, average depth kind of right around 7.5 feet in most locations as you approach. Right there, that's runway 33 there. So we have had reporters down at Dangerfield Island. That is right here, Reagan National, just north of there. But based on the flight aware, this was the approximate path that plane was taking, kind of hugging the
and we already
coastline
looked
there on the
at
Maryland
that,
side
right?
before a turn in to runway 33, and it seems to be somewhere during that turn that collision may have happened, and maybe even a little bit before it as it was approaching that runway right there highlighted in orange. So lots of information continues to come in. That is the area, and those are some of the depths that the rescue crews are having to deal with tonight. So for the most part, anywhere between about 7 to 15 feet of water, guys.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. As mentioned, that is our area. And I'm glad you pointed out Dangerfield Island, because that's where, when we checked in with Bob Barnard a little while ago, and that's been a place where people have been going to watch the effort. They were trying to caution people from staying away from Gravelly Point, because for a while that was a staging area for a lot of the rescue boats. But at this hour, it looks like things are very static until we get that press briefing coming up at 12:30 this morning, which we will carry here. And again, we're expecting briefings every hour on the hour. I would expect what we learn about that first one is going to be just what they know. I don't think we're going to get many other answers because it is so early in this process. Again, this all only unfolded 3 hours and roughly 15 minutes ago. So this is a story that is just breaking in the grand scheme of things fairly recently. It's going to take a while to get the answers that people want, and that, more importantly, that people deserve, especially those who are directly affected by this crash.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing there are people there at the airport that were waiting for their wives and their loved ones to arrive, and they're still hoping that they will have a chance to see them. That is hard. That is hard to hear and see, but that is the reality, and that is the situation that we are all dealing with right now as we wait for word on whether or not the operation efforts have been successful in the sense of pulling anybody out and saving any lives. But
hey, so the camera we're seeing on the top left, that is, remind me, guys, in the control room where the shot is from, where they're at. Is this over in Alexandria? Okay, that's in Alexandria, because you just saw the one boat go by, and they brought in those temporary light standards to illuminate the area. I mean, look, it's midnight now. It's 12:15 in the morning. It's pitch black. The water is can be murky. It is cold. It is frigid. Not just in the air, but even more so in the water, where we've been looking at those buoys and the readings. But still, at this hour, I imagine when we have that first briefing in 15 minutes, we're going to hear, we're going to get the bulk of the information, at least right now, that'll keep us going through the rest of the night. But as mentioned, I know for a while, I don't know for how much longer, but they did put, Metro put some extra trains out there on the Silver Line to bring people in who may have been diverted.
What was the, do you know the timing on that, or did they
No,
definitely?
Yeah.
Or
Randy Clark, the GM of Metro, just said they're working to help. But beyond that, nothing more.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if we get more information.
I did see there that I know with Nana, she said some people were having difficulty getting in and out of the airport, but yeah. I've since seen that they've let people line up to catch cabs and some ride share. So that at least is some promising news for those who obviously will not be able to catch their flight or is stranded here. So it looks like they're figuring things out, and that's really what this whole process is tonight. Mm-hmm. And especially our coverage is that we are figuring it out with you.
Yep, exactly.
We are your eyes, your ears. Our reporters are there. They're giving us the information as it comes in. We're just about 14 minutes away from what is supposed to be our first briefing on this tragedy from almost 3 hours ago, right?
Yeah, it seems like that.
8:30 or so. And in the meantime,
so I'm going to
let's just
give me a moment here. There is a video out, and I will send it to our control room momentarily. Just the CEO of American Airlines has put out a statement, and we'll check in with him, or we'll check in with that as soon as I can get that over to our crews here. But once again, as mentioned, and just we'll reiterate what we know, because that's the most important thing here. It is 12:17 in the morning, about 3 hours and 17 minutes ago, an American airline flight on its way from Wichita, Kansas into Reagan National Airport collided at a low level upon landing, or as it was attempting to land, with a military helicopter. It was an Army helicopter on a training mission. There were 3 on board, 3 soldiers on board, 60 passengers on board that plane, 4 crew members on board, for a total of 67 people. Jim Broccoli is a former Air Force, he's an Air Force veteran, and he's also an attorney. He's joining us now here live on Fox 5. And Jim, you have been you've been involved in investigations. You work with Mary Scavo, the former DOT Inspector General, on these sort of things. Let's talk about the investigation part of this. How quickly does that start, or do we have to wait for the search and rescue operation to complete?
Well, I think they're both coinciding at the same time. Obviously, the main focus is the search and rescue at this point, but they'll be gathering information. Both the NTSB and the military, both are mobilizing and probably mobilized as soon as this happened to get investigators on the scene and start collecting data and making sure, like with the FAA and air traffic control, audio, radar tapes, all those things are being preserved.
All right, Jim, and I bet by now you have, like the rest of us, have seen that video that shows the moment of impact, the moment that these two aircraft, the helicopter and the airliner, came together. What is your takeaway from that, from what you're able to see? Because we sit back here and we're still in shock. How can something like this happen? I know the details are very minimal right now, but from your experience and from what you've seen, what can you tell us?
Sure. So what I've heard, what I've gathered so far, and there are some of the air traffic control tapes out there and some of the communications. The aircraft, the American Eagle aircraft, was on short final. Was at about 400 feet, just getting ready to land. And the helicopter was in communication, appears to have been in communication with the control tower. And the control tower told them, that there was traffic, a regional jet in front of them, and to confirm that they had the regional jet in sight. And apparently the helicopter reported that they did. When you look at that video, you see that there is an aircraft taking off at the same time. When you see that video that's shot from far away, again, you don't ever want to speculate this early in the accident, but if I was just to guess at something, the crew of the helicopter may have seen a different aircraft. And when they said that they had that aircraft in sight, they may have been talking about one that had been taking off rather than one that was landing.
All right.
I just wanted to ask one thing, just because, I guess when we check back.
Yeah, go ahead. Jim's still here.
So my question is, because we have this military aircraft that is now part of this investigation, is that, we talk about going forward with the investigation, the black box and the recorders and the conversations with the air traffic controllers, but is that going to complicate things? Because I can imagine that the military also probably has their own set of aviation investigators as well.
They do. So the Army does have their investigation. They'll do actually the Army will do 2 investigations.
Okay, here's a little bit of information. Let's see, the crash site is on the Potomac, but it's actually on the shore of the Joint Base Anacostia Bowling. The American Airlines plane is split in half. There's 2 pieces of it. It is in 7 feet of water. The helicopter is upside down. It is not stable. It is bobbing up and down. Divers have not been, sometimes it's underwater, sometimes it's above water, and divers have not been able to make entry into the helicopter because of the lack of stability there. And I'm not going to read the rest of this, just out of respect. Wow, that is really crazy. Elon Musk has just said this was deliberate. So the Black Hawk, this Black Hawk, same model as Marine One used by the president. The president's home, he's not hurt. Somebody said Trump is responsible. Trump is a murderer. Just calm down. It'll be all right. Collision reportedly happened at 375 feet before hitting the water. They were literal seconds from landing. As of 18 minutes ago, 19 bodies have been recovered. Swiftwater dive teams are having serious issues because of the amount of debris that is in the water. One of the military guys says the helicopter rotor may have contributed to the plane being sliced in half. Okay. All right. So what did they say? They said 12:30 for the
traveling from Wichita, Kansas to Washington Reagan National Airport has been involved in an accident near Washington, D.C. It appears to have collided with a military aircraft on approach. Flight 5342 was under the command of 4 crew members and carried 60 passengers for a total of 64 people on board. We are actively working with local, state, and federal authorities on emergency response efforts, and the American Airlines care team has been activated to assist our passengers and their families. We're cooperating fully with the National Transportation Safety Board in its investigation and will continue to provide all the information we can. Our cooperation is without pause, and we want to learn everything we can about today's events. That work will take time, but anything we can do now, we're doing. And right now, that means focusing on taking care of all passengers and crew involved, as well as their families. Members of our GO team will be on their way to Washington, D.C., and I'll be heading there shortly as well. We know that many people will be concerned for the welfare of their loved ones, and we've set up a special helpline friends and family can call at 1-800-679-8215. That's 1-800-679-8215. If you believe you've had friends or family on board American Eagle Flight 5342. We understand and appreciate that people are eager for information. Please know that we'll continue to share accurate and timely information as soon as we can. But anything we must report must be accurate. We owe that to
They
everyone
are
involved.
grounded, Alma.
Our team of highly trained
Till
professionals will be
5:30
working
in the
around the
morning.
clock to support our passengers, crew, and their families however we can. And we'll update you as soon as we can. Thank you.
All right, that was Robert Isom. He is the CEO of American Airlines, and I realize a lot of the information that he provided there was things that you may have already heard from us. Regardless,
Okay,
we're
we
expecting to
want
get more
a
of this
normal
press
press
coming up at
conference, not
12:30.
someone who's trying to save their
Should be
millions.
just about 90 seconds away, although these things definitely don't run on a firm clock.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we continue to hear from people who have witnessed this and are sharing their accounts. I know one guy chimed in and he said it sounded like a war zone crash, and that he saw immediately what happened afterwards. And just to kind of give you an idea, and another person saying that they thought they were hallucinating at one point. They thought that, you know, I see this every day. I see planes going to and fro on my drive back and forth, and had to do a double take and could not believe what they saw. And so I think that a lot of people are still in a state of shock. We heard Bob Barnard saying that a lot of people are just coming down to where he is at. I believe he's a little more southern, right? He's south of Gravelly Point. And
y'all, I'll be right back. I need to get me something cold to drink.
They had to come see for themselves, and they can't believe
just
something like this would happen.
We should be getting more information during this press conference. Okay, go ahead and talk. Control room's talking to me. Go ahead. Okay. There's the press conference on the top right-hand corner of your screen. Okay. Yep. So let me ask the control room. Take that top right box, put it somewhere in here, and we'll continue to talk. And the second that we see people walk up to that podium, we will stop. That way you can focus on keeping the train on the rails here. But as we take a look at the latest from the Associated Press, and again, this is from an AP source. They say multiple people have been killed in this mid-air collision. We don't know how many. This is according to a person familiar with the matter, telling the AP, the person not authorized to publicly discuss details. So that is from the AP. We depend on the AP for a lot of the information coming down here. And again, because this operation has taken so long, you know, you hope for the best, you plan for the worst, and unfortunately, that seems to be what we're going to hear at some point. This, what you're looking at, is inside one of the terminals at Reagan Airport. Everybody's getting into place. We will take that live as soon as it happens.
Yeah, and right now we are waiting to find out just exactly. You know, if there was any type of rescues that were made. You know, we're getting conflicting reports, but still at this point, no confirmation that anyone or anything has been pulled from the water. We do know that there are family members that are also at this airport, waiting patiently and waiting with a lot of hope to get good news or a good update. We heard from the CEO of American Airlines, who really couldn't give us too much detail, but said that their priority right now is to do everything and anything they can do for these passengers and for the crew and for their families. And so hopefully Sierra Fox is there, I believe, standing by. She'll be able to bring us the very latest. And of course, we're going to bring you that live information as it comes in. Meanwhile, we have made note that not a whole lot has changed as far as the level of response. And
well, while we're waiting to hear from this briefing, Abadi Ismail is joining us now. He's live on Zoom. Where you are, you live somewhere where you saw really this happen, and I just want to get your take as to what you saw earlier this evening. And by the way, where are you at, Abadi?
I am at Buzzard Point, where the point
right there.
is, by James Creek Marina. I have an advantage view of the Potomac River, the Anacostia River, Reagan Airport, the military base. I have cinematic view. So I could see everything that is happening from the moment the crash happened, because I was in my, I was sitting and watching TV when the crash happened, but it was a bang, bang, very loud bang, bang, something I'm not familiar with, something you don't normally hear. So I turned into the window to take a look, and that's when I saw some smokes on the south side of the airport. So I still I wasn't able to comprehend everything. So a few minutes later, that's when I saw the DC Park, the Coast Guard, DC Police, Arlington Police, fire truck, everything and everybody, every resource within DC were heading toward the crash scene. That's when I took the video, somewhere around 8:50 p.m. And we want to make sure like something is really happening. The river, the Potomac, is frozen. We're talking about a 39-degree as we speak today. So it's been frozen since the inauguration day. So that's another hassle that the U.S. Coast Guard have to maneuver through all this ice in order to get to the crash scene. The crash scene is about 2 miles from where I'm at. Based on what I see, I have friends that work at the DC park. Based on their analysis on the site, this is not a search and rescue mission at this point, okay? It is, unfortunately, it's a recovery mission. I see only a handful of boats. I would say maybe like 10 boats at the very most. Most of them are on the east side of the river, which is by the military base. And I believe that's where the crash, where the debris of the plane is. So this is what is happening right now. I see 5
Hi,
trucks on the Reagan
everyone.
Airport. So there's 2 actual sites of the crash. What you see on the screen right now is the Reagan Airport, but we need someone to take a look at the crash scene. I see helicopter with their flash and lights all over the Potomac, trying to find any possible life. When we talk about 39 degrees, we're talking about hypothermia. It's inevitable.
Right.
So this happened at 8:50 p.m. Now we are at 12:34. We're hitting almost 4 hours.
Yeah.
So this is really devastating.
Abadi, let me jump in for a second here because I just want to point out, yes, when we talked about the air temperature, we talked about the water temperature. Clearly, these are dangerous, treacherous, life-threatening conditions out there. We do not have any confirmation yet. It's been called a rescue mission. They have not officially called it a recovery operation, which again we're hoping to hear some update momentarily.
Yeah, and from our vantage point, it actually looks like it's somewhat stayed the same.
Yeah,
The
it's horrible,
presence,
Vicky.
if anything, has only grown. But if I understand you clearly from what you've been able to see, because you have a different view, does it look like there are fewer boats in the water?
Fewer boats, 100%.
Yeah.
They are all stationed. All of them are stationed on the east side of the river. So and they've been stationed there for a while now. So that tells me that they found the debris of the plane. So what they're doing right now is they're either collecting, rescuing. You're right. They call it search and rescue, so we just keep it that way and hope for the best. Hopefully, they found some live people within this cold temperature waterway.
You would hope so.
Yeah, and where you see most of the boats, is that still on the Maryland side, like where the Joint Base, Anacostia Bowling side?
Correct. And yes, but let me take you actually outside just to take a look and see.
Yeah, let's do that.
That'd be great if you can. Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is just a man that lives close by?
We've seen from people who've been sending us video just from their vantage points. And when you look at it from afar, you get a sense of what kind of massive operation
it is a massive operation, 100%. The fire trucks at Reagan Airport, we're talking about hundreds of them. But the amount of boats in the water, they're like handful. That just tells me it's either the frozen water and inability for many of these boats to get to the sites. I'm not so sure, but it's not as the scene in the water is not as much as the scene at the runway or at the Anacostia Bowling military base. So
Abadi, we thank you so much for your insight on this and just from your story. We have to go back to the airport right now. We're still awaiting that briefing, but Nana Bonsu is there. She has been at the airport since the breaking news came down, and she's here with an update now. Nana.
Hey, Jim. Yes, in moments we are expecting a briefing, an update from public safety officials. We know DC Fire is here. We know DC Mayor Muriel Bowser is here as well as Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority, all expected to speak at this podium that is set here. A number of news outlets, media outlets here, all doing the same thing that we've been trying to do since we've been out here. The moment we got the call, get some answers and figure out what's taking place. How is that rescue going? Now, let's talk about the 60 passengers and then the 4 crew members. There's now a reunification center that's set up here in Terminal 1 for families. On our way from Terminal 2, because that's where we were at our last hit in the ticketing area, we had to walk a bit to Terminal 1 where the presser is taking place. On the way is where we saw
There's no
the
word
reunification
on that,
center,
late
obviously with tents set up. We
17.
couldn't see any
If you think
family
you might
members,
know
but that's
someone
where
on the
we're
plane,
told
there's a phone
airport
number that is
leaders,
flowing across the
airline,
bottom of
the
my
American
screen,
Airlines
that
leaders are
1-800.
kind of
You
gathering
can call
families
there
as they
and
come
check in
in
with them.
looking
And I'm
for
so
their loved ones.
sorry.
Again, we don't really have any
I'm really
additional
sorry.
information. We just know that there is
Praying
a
for all the
reunification
family and friends.
center set up here in Terminal 1. And when people come to the
But
airport, they'll be
they've
led in
given
that
no
direction.
information at all.
But as we try and
Like
get more
who was on the
information that we
plane
can
or
share with our viewers,
nothing
again,
like
we're
that.
here. We're
They
waiting for
did
this
say
update.
that
A lot of
there
people
were
just have
3
many questions.
soldiers on
You
the
know, we did see
helicopter. It's a
passengers
military
inside
helicopter.
the terminal at
But
Terminal
we don't
2
know anything
asking for
about
questions as
the
well. And I even
flight.
saw some saying,
But
we're just
there's
gonna
a phone
follow
number
you.
if you need to call.
So it's expected to start any moment from now. They told us 12:30. As you know, it's well after 12:30. Sometimes these things, it literally just takes time. They're still gathering. They're still putting together information before they get in front of us and deliver whatever it is they have. So we'll be here. It's expected to start soon. Again, you can see everyone is set up, ready to go. And we'll have whatever updates that come in for you. But again, very fluid situation. We've been moving around. You know, we started at Gravelly. We worked our way to the ticketing, Terminal 2, and now we're here where this presser is getting ready to start. So hopefully we can have the information we've been asking, the numbers, the rescue. And one question that I have is when we were at Gravelly, we saw those boats go in and then they left, you know? So like, why were those boats pulled out? Were they too far? Was the rescue taking place somewhere else? So many questions. You were hearing a lot of different unconfirmed reports. So there's so many questions. And Jim, I did not forget the question you asked me to figure out what time this airport will reopen, whether it's 5 a.m. that we're hearing or it's sometime on Friday. So we'll try and do the best that we can, but bear with us because we have a lot coming in right now.
Yeah, and hopefully, Nana, that's why we had the briefing where we'll get those answers out there. But thank you very much. We appreciate you, Nana, and we'll check back in with you in a little bit. Again, situations like this in times of breaking news and things are fluid, we were told that the briefing would be at 12:30. Obviously, they want to make sure that everybody is on the same page with something like this before they start addressing the media on this matter.
One official we did hear from, though, was recently Robert Ism, who is the American Airlines CEO, and he said in a video that he released that they would like to express their deep sorrow about the events of this crash. It's a difficult day for all of them, and their efforts are focused now on the needs of the passengers, their crew members, their partners, the first responders and families and loved ones. And then he offered the one phone number that they want those who believe that they have loved ones or friends, perhaps on this flight, to call. I know we were sharing that earlier. I'll go ahead and run through that again in case you're just joining us now. 1-800-679-8215, 800-679-8215. And again, I know we've been speaking to some eyewitnesses, and but I think it's also really important to reiterate that at this point, we still don't have any confirmation as far as casualties, injuries, deaths.
We just have the numbers.
Yeah.
60 passengers, 4 crew, 3 soldiers. And I think those are numbers we're going to remember for a long while. That as mentioned, that Sikorsky helicopter was on a training mission, as they often do, and these are more or less the premier helicopters that the U.S. military, the U.S. Army uses, often used to transport dignitaries around. There were no dignitaries on board this flight, according to reports out from the Army tonight. So at this hour, again, normally at 12:42 in the morning, you see maybe a couple stragglers, some concessionaires at Reagan Airport shutting down for the night, security, cleaning crews. And tonight, unfortunately, this has become really the epicenter of what we're going to hear as this breaking news continues.
It's terrible.
All right, we're continuing to look at these live images again at this hour. There's only so much we can say, guys. And let me. I know we were talking about this earlier. Is I want to bring back in Kenneth Moten to the conversation here, because Metro had diverted or they were running extra Silverline service because there were reports that people might be diverted. You were running down some of the things from FlightAware, Kenneth, and it does look like there were some diversions.
There were diversions, and several into Dulles. There were flights out of Nashville, Denver, Minneapolis, Orlando that were originating from those cities that were headed for Reagan National. They all landed in the 9 p.m. hour. So if the crash happened around 8:30, just before 9 or so, before this flight was supposed to land at DCA, those other flights were en route and bound, and they were diverted shortly after this mass casualty event was declared. And they were diverted to Dulles. Many of them diverted to Dulles. There were a couple that I saw, according to FlightAware.com, that were diverted to BWI that were coming from Atlanta and Houston. These were Southwest flights as well. So this is something that is typical. If there was some type of incident that would happen on the runway at Reagan, on that main runway or any of the runways there, that very busy Reagan National Airport, we would see flights diverted. These flights, several of them diverted, something that I feel like we haven't seen the amount of flights that we saw diverted after this incident, which is understandable.
Right.
This is something that we really have not seen before. And then obviously those who were on, the passengers who were on those flights had to get in touch with their family members or whoever was possibly going to pick them up at Reagan to say, now I'm at Dulles, now I'm at BWI. And obviously, once they learned, this is me speculating, but once I'm just putting myself in their shoes, learning what happened as soon as they landed, I'm pretty sure they were very thankful because at this moment, I mean, I'm pretty sure for those who have flown in and out of Reagan, you could say, that could have been me.
I am.
And so that's very sobering, a very sobering thought for those passengers who landed, who were on those diverted flights that were supposed to land at Reagan in the 9 o'clock hour. But many of them, again, landed safely at Dulles and BWI. And again, as Jim, you and Angie have been mentioning tonight, obviously that Silverline service has been extended there. From Dulles, obviously people are making transportation or made transportation arrangements from BWI as well. And look, that was my count on FlightAware, but I do believe that there were other flights because it was a very busy night at Reagan National. I do believe there were other flights that were diverted as well. But I'm also seeing the cancellations that are also popping up. Typically, the boards that we've seen where Nana showed us the board that had the message up there, typically those boards will tell you what the delays and the cancellations are. When we've gone and done snowstorms or anything that have been weather impacts there, we go to those boards to see what's happening and to see what kind of delays and cancellations are going to be.
Right.
And so I went on FlightAware.com.
Which we use often. I mean, you know, it's a very useful tool, yeah.
And it's already showing a number of cancellations, obviously. And then, yes, we've been reporting that the airport is going to be close to 5 a.m. But Jim, Angie, this will be a ripple effect that I know that we're reporting that right now it's showing that the airport is going to be closed until 5 a.m. on Friday. But knowing Reagan and knowing what we even saw from the snowstorm from a few weeks ago that crippled Reagan National Airport and all of our 3 major airports, I do believe from my experience here that this is going to be a ripple effect that will impact that airport, maybe even possibly through the weekend as this investigation really is in the infancy stages because we're at this rescue operation that is still underway there. As you look at that line of ambulances here, I've also, guys, been checking into to see, obviously, the hospitals in our area. We have a number of major hospitals with level 1 trauma centers that are ready for this. We know that when it comes to those first responders that you see there, when it comes to the hospital
that
staff,
happens,
they train for these types of incidents, hoping that they will never happen. But here we have them waiting on standby, waiting to serve, waiting to treat patients if and when they get them.
So one time there was a hurricane, but it was supposed to come in like down like Corpus Christi. So we wouldn't get anything, right? And as I was sitting here on my channel doing lives, talking about true crime, suddenly the hurricane turned and slammed right into us. Like just maybe 5 miles south of where we are on the coast. And I was on my channel, and people in the channel could hear the whistling and hear the wind. It was kind of a scary night. I'm not gonna lie. We were not prepared to be dealing with a hurricane that night.
Second day on the job, but he was sworn in today. The new Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. We will be hearing from him early on in this briefing as well. Whenever it gets underway, they're in position again. At times like these, they will give us a time, but it does take some coordination to get everybody out there and to speak. But we will be hearing from Fire Chief John Donnelly, senators from Kansas as well. It was Senator Jerry Moran earlier tonight, a Republican from Kansas, who had said earlier, he kind of gave the first confirmation. We had heard that maybe it was Wichita. We had heard roughly around 9:15 where the flight was. It took time for us to confirm that, but the senator will be speaking there because these are their constituents as well.
That's right. And you mentioned Ted Cruz too.
Ted Cruz as well. Yeah, head of the Commerce Committee in the Senate, which oversees transportation.
Yeah, so they'll be getting their own separate briefing also in the morning. But yeah, you talk about Secretary Duffy, and wow, yeah, sworn in today, and he was there right in the beginning.
Oh wow, I didn't know that, Black Rose.
So he's been
so
there
sorry.
At ground zero, so to speak, since this started. So hopefully they'll be able to shed more light on this, and
Exactly,
more importantly, be able to give some of these families some answers. I mean, that's what we're all waiting for. This is, unconfirmed reports. We are getting text messages. I mean, this is where we live. People were coming home. And now, we are starting to get messages that people knew certain people and certain families were there. And it's going to be a very, very difficult night and very difficult coming days for many of us. And we can only hope for the best.
Yeah, and I keep looking down. I mean, you probably see us looking down, and just getting the latest information out there, and seeing if we're getting any new alerts that are coming through. But there's a lot of people watching this, and a lot of people watching. Let's go back over to Shamari Stone. He's over at Gravely Point. He's ready to go. Shamari, let's go to you.
Well, first of all, the people that I speak to are actually, some of them are tourists who are staying in their hotels. You have people who are in hotels and live actually near Reagan National Airport. Many of them have been coming out here throughout the evening, taking photos. One woman was praying that I saw, concerned about the 64 people who were on that plane. A lot of folks are asking themselves, how can this happen? How did this happen? What led up to it? And of course, those are questions that will have to be answered in due time. Right now, people are concerned, obviously, about those people. And over here, you have Metro Transit police officers, U.S. Park Police, you have WMATA buses, and all of them are here as a command post by Gravely Point. This area is been closed. They're allowing us to be here to bring you this live television. There are people on the bus over there waiting for emergency responders who are cold to come and warm up there. You have these officers also on standby, and that cruiser you're seeing right there is about to.
That's right, Nancy
people
Drew.
come in and out.
Several of us
And
have
there's a
been
lot
here
of
for the long
activity
haul, haven't
here
we?
at this area.
We're like
And if you
family
move over
now.
here, this is where they have the rescue mission. And right now we're going to go to the news conference for you all so we can get an update.
Yeah,
go right ahead.
Thank you, Shamari. We'll check back in with you. We're going to go back over to Reagan Airport. This is where that briefing is happening. You can see they've been given the go, and any moment now we are expecting to hear from several officials and the initial information. And I expect we will get a bit of a clearer picture as to what the toll is. All we've been told, all the Associated Press has been told, was it was multiple casualties. So they are stepping over to that podium right now. Let's listen in to Reagan Airport as we are set to hear what led up and what information we know early on about the crash of American Airlines Flight 5342 from Wichita to Washington Reagan National Airport. All right, there.
Okay. So we're hearing that they're not ready just yet. They've got, as you can imagine, they want to get it right too, right?
Well, right. That's the most important thing.
They don't want to step up there and rush into anything, and you got to respect that. So it looks like the cameras are turning around. Perhaps people are getting in place.
That was sort of the signal we had to start going there, but they're all checking to make sure the feeds are working, the microphones are working there.
And I can imagine, maybe they'll take some questions as
I would imagine whatever question they can
here, too.
answer. I don't know.
You've been listening to Fox 5 DC's coverage. We are going to be taking this press conference in full, as we are expecting to hear. This is the first update we're hearing from
this
DC
is so
officials
sad,
after this plane
y'all.
crash.
This
We're going to
is
listen to the
so
full
sad.
thing. We'll dip back into Fox 5 afterward.
This is so sad. Oh my God. Terrible.
I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C. I'm at Reagan National Airport. I am joined by United States Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, United States Senator Jim Moran, Senator Roger Marshall, Jack Potter, the CEO of the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority. We are here to brief you on the very tragic events of this evening, where we know a passenger plane coming to the airport here collided with a military helicopter. Our fire department, DC Fire and EMS, supported by fire departments and police departments from across the Washington metropolitan region, are executing a rescue operation in the Potomac River. They are working diligently in very dark and cold conditions, cold water, to execute this rescue operation. We have had the opportunity to be briefed by American Airlines officials. I'm told that American Airlines leadership is on the way to Washington as well. And officials are in the airport talking to families now. We do have a 1-800 number where families should contact us, should contact American Airlines for more information, and we will be providing that information shortly. I am going to turn to a number of officials to provide as much information as we can.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
This evening.
Who killed
and we
Seth?
expect to have more frequent briefings at
We all
daylight.
know what happened to him.
So with that, I'm going to turn to Secretary Duffy.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. I think for all of us, we want to extend our thoughts and prayers to those individuals who were impacted by the events tonight, their families. We know this is a very difficult time for all of them. I want to join the mayor and everyone here to extending our thank you to the first responders who, again, in very difficult situations and environments, are out there searching and attempting to rescue. Tonight, I spoke with President Trump and his team in the Situation Room. I had a conversation with Secretary Pete Hegseth as well, and then with the Kansas delegation and the mayor and others in leadership, as well as Governor Youngkin from Virginia and Governor Kelly from Kansas. From the Department of Transportation and FAA's perspective, we are going to offer full support to those on the ground, to the mayor, but also to the NTSB, who is going to be conducting the investigation in this matter. We are going to provide all the support that's necessary. Mayor.
Thank you. So with that, I want to ask Chief John Johnley from DC Fire and EMS to provide an update.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Donnelly, Chief of DC Fire and EMS. This evening at 8:48, an alert was sounded, initiating a large regional response to a report of an aircraft crash on approach to the airport. This response includes first the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority's Fire Department, the District of Columbia Fire Department, the Metropolitan Police Department, and the U.S. Park Police to respond into the area and to sort that out. At 8:58, the first units arrived on the scene and found an aircraft in the water and began rescue operations. This incident has grown. There's currently about 300 responders working. We have boats from all throughout the region, police and fire boats. We have a mutual aid agreement in Washington, D.C., the National Capital Region Mutual Aid Agreement administered by the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, and we're all operating under that. We're operating under a unified command. Everybody's together. So we also have requested state police helicopters from Maryland, and the Coast Guard helicopter is working. So this is a state and federal response as well. U.S. Coast Guard's got some boats in the water as well. So it's a highly complex operation. The conditions out there are extremely rough for the responders. It's cold. They're dealing with relatively windy conditions. Wind is hard out on the river. So they're out there working. We're doing everything we can to keep them safe. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to the mayor.
Thank you. In Chief Bonnet from MWA.
I'm Rick Bonnet, Fire Chief of MWA Fire and Rescue. Our unit, as Chief Donnelly already alluded to, at 2048, we received an alert from the FAA tower of an aircraft incident involving a commercial aircraft and a helicopter. Our units immediately responded and deployed 3 boats and immediately called for mutual aid resources. Again, as Chief Donnelly said, it's an active operation that's going to last many hours as we continue to work through recovery efforts and rescue operations. This will be ongoing for quite a while. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families and our communities, and we appreciate all DC's support to our agency and our federal partners.
So with that, I wanted to turn to the senators who are from Kansas who wanted to say a few words. First, Senator Moran, and then Senator Marshall.
Mayor, thank you, and Mr. Secretary, thank you, and to our first responders, thank you very much for all that's taking place here. I'm Jerry Moran. I'm a United States Senator from Kansas, and I chair the subcommittee in Commerce Committee on Aviation. So we have really a serious and sad circumstance that we want to be here to be helpful, and we're praying that our responders are safe and the folks who are on that flight are recovered. The circumstance I would describe is that I know that flight. I've flown it many times myself. I lobbied American Airlines to begin having a direct nonstop flight service to DCA. That flight has been in existence about a year. And it is certainly true that in Kansas and in Wichita in particular, we're going to know people who are on this flight, know their family members, know somebody. So this is a very personal circumstance as well as an official response. And again, we will do everything we can to make certain that we're supportive of the rescue efforts, and we'll do everything we can to make certain that our subcommittee and Congress is engaged in what needs to take place following the outcome of this evening and this month's kind of investigation. I've talked to NTSB, I've talked to the White House, I've talked to the Department of Defense, and I've talked to the CEO of American Airlines, and there is all of us pulling together for the best outcome possible. I'm honored to be here with my colleague, Senator Marshall, as we try to make certain that we care for those certainly back in Kansas that were on that flight. But it's a reminder that there are people here in Washington, D.C., in this region, in Virginia and Maryland, and many places else that fly to and from Kansas. And so we're rooting and supporting all those, regardless of where you're from. And Mayor, I appreciate the gathering here for us to try to provide information to those in Kansas and across your city. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Senator Moran and Mayor, Secretary. You know, when one person dies, it's a tragedy, but when many, many, many people die, it's an unbearable sorrow. It's a heartbreak beyond measure. And I know Senator Moran and I are here just to say we care. We wish that there was more we could do, but unfortunately, there doesn't seem much at this time. I want the folks to back home to just know that we care, that we love them, and that this is a time when we'll have to join arms together. and help each other out. We've been through things like this before, through tornadoes and floods and things, but it's really hard when you lose, probably over 60 Kansans simultaneously. And I don't want to forget the pilots and the flight attendants, are doing, do their job, and the military personnel we lost. All those lives are so valuable. And it is such a tragedy that we lost them. I think often in times like this, I try to find a scripture that, is apropos.
So
And
he's
this is
pretty
from the
much
book of
just
Psalms. It
confirmed
says,
there's no
"The Lord is
survivors.
close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Certainly we're crushed in spirit tonight. We mourn with the families who lost loved ones, and we truly are joining them in prayer and wrapping our arms around them in love and compassion. Thanks for everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you for your thoughts and your prayers.
So certainly I speak for the people of Washington, 700,000 of us who are extremely sorry for the families who are experiencing loss tonight. And so we want you to know that we will continue to work with American Airlines to share information as frequently as possible and make sure that we're getting accurate information out to the public. But my sorrow for all of the people and crew on the plane and our military personnel on the helicopter is very deep. I do want to turn to Jack Potter, who is the CEO of our Airports Authority, responsible for Reagan National Airport and Dulles International Airport, to talk to you about how the airport responded and what we're looking, what's going to happen
Because they don't let you wait at the airport,
Good evening.
right?
As
So
was
all
said,
those
I'm
people
Jack Potter,
picking up
the President and CEO of the
passengers,
Metropolitan
they were
Washington
just
Airports
circling the
Authority.
airport.
Thank you all for being here tonight. And
So how did they
under
find
these
out?
very, very grim circumstances. First of all, I want to let you know that we're providing support to all the families who are involved. American Airlines has established a phone number for them to reach out. That's been published, but let me repeat it. It's 1-800-679-8215. So families of folks that were on the plane are asked to contact them. We did have folks who were at the airport to pick up loved ones. And so American has set up a center in their in their lounge at the north end of the airport. And we've directed the families there. And there are folks there counselors there to work with the families. We did have aircraft that were in the air. They were diverted to Dulles Airport. Some 19 aircraft. We had personnel, United and others had personnel. We want to thank WMATA for extending their hours on the Metro to make sure that those folks were accommodated. Right now, as was said earlier by the chief, we're in a rescue mode. We will continue in that rescue mode. I want to thank all of the mutual aid responders, all the counties, the districts, folks from Maryland and Virginia. Everybody's on site doing the best they can, and numerous boats out in the water right now. NTSB is on site. I want to thank all of the folks behind me, the secretary, the mayor, the two senators for all of their support. And we're going to continue to work through the night. I do want to make an announcement. People are, concerned about what's going to happen in the morning. Reagan National Airport will be closed until 11 o'clock. That's when the first flights will take off. But we're going to continue to do our best and work through this situation over the course of the night. And we hope to have more news as it develops. But for right now, it's a very difficult situation out there with the cold. It's very dark, but there are numerous boats out there. There are dive teams out there. So again, we'll continue to work this situation, and I'll turn it back to the mayor. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that update. And you've heard that in the National Capital Region, the District, of course, is Washington, D.C. is at the center, but we are a close region. We have heard from the governors of Maryland and Virginia, the mayor of the city of Baltimore, all who have sent us personnel to help in the rescue operations. Last thing I'll note is just to our local viewership, and just please let our first responders do their work. Try to let our vehicles get to scenes and through scenes. We don't want anybody else to get hurt because of moving vehicles, okay? So we will be able to take a few questions. There's not a lot that we can say. We won't be able to say anything about an investigation. As you know, once fire and EMS completes the rescue operation, then the investigation goes over to the National Transportation Safety Board. And I'm sure the Safety Board, NTSB, will provide information about when they will be briefing about an investigation. So we'll take a few. Yes.
Can you confirm that both aircraft are in the water, and perhaps Chief Donnelly can explain what's involved in conducting an operation like this?
Yes, both aircraft are in the water. The focus now is rescuing people, and that's what all of our personnel are focused on. And Chief, I think he's given a pretty good description, but if there's anything else you want to add, Chief?
I would just say that the boats are out doing searches. We have divers on both aircraft, and they're searching the aircraft at this point.
Right. Yes.
Have any survivors been found, and how many bodies have been recovered?
All we can confirm tonight is the number of people on each aircraft, 64 people on the American Airlines plane and 3 people on the military helicopter. And we can't provide any more information about recovery efforts.
The people have talked about lost loved ones. So how do you know that there might be people who have lost loved ones?
I didn't say I didn't know people had lost loved ones. I said we can't talk about any of the recovery efforts in specific tonight.
Yes. Secretary Duffy,
I'll call on who's next. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. Will this affect operations at Dulles and BWI? Will the Potomac River traffic be closed to boats?
Yes. And so Jack has talked about, can you talk about Dulles? I'm not sure we can talk about BWI, but we can talk about Dulles.
There is no impact at BWI or at Dulles. As I said earlier, our airport here, Ronald Reagan National Airport, will be closed until 11 o'clock. Obviously, that will be fluid. We'll learn more, but we wanted to advise passengers who might be coming to the airport in the morning that we will be closed until at least 11 o'clock.
Secretary Duffy.
Question for Secretary Duffy. Yes, 1 second. You're next.
Hi, Mayor. Thank you so much. So, just other than the current situations, like we know the water is extremely cold and it's very dark outside. Although Senator is saying that there are numerous boats in the water, but what's the biggest challenges for the rescue team? What best scenario we can expect in the coming few hours till morning?
So the challenges are access. The water that we're operating in is about 8 feet deep. There is wind, there is pieces of ice out there. So it's just dangerous and hard to work in. And because there's not a lot of lights, you're out there searching every square inch of space to see if you can find anybody. Divers are doing the same thing in the water. The water is dark, it is murky, and that is a very tough condition for them to dive in. The question about the river, we'll make that decision later. The Coast Guard's on scene, and I would expect that it's not a high use time in the river, and we should not expect to have commercial recreational traffic on the river tomorrow.
Okay, 3 questions. 1, 2, 3.
It's for Secretary Duffy. Have you been in touch with the air traffic controllers who were in the tower at the time of the crash?
I have not.
You have not. And second question, this is your first several hours in this position. What are your thoughts? What are you feeling right now?
My focus is on those who are impacted on this flight. And again, I've been secretary for a little over a day, and the tragedy that we're going to deal with this recovery, I think is touching everyone's hearts, whether it's here in the greater DC area or in Kansas. And again, I think everyone here is thinking and praying for those who potentially have lost a loved one. And thank you.
Okay, your question?
Could any of you give us any sense about how an accident like this could have happened so close to the airport, right in the heart of DC? There have been reports that the DCA tower contacted the helicopter moments before the crash to ask if they had sight of the aircraft, that apparently the helicopter reported that it did have sight of an aircraft. Is it possible that it had the wrong aircraft in sight? Do you have any sense of what went wrong in those final moments?
I know that the National Transportation Safety Board in its investigation will be able to search on all of those questions. We wouldn't be able to talk about that tonight. Yes.
2 points for Secretary Duffy. The first thing you were talking about.
Yeah, he was just confirmed. He's a presidential appointment.
Can you tell us more about the president's initial reactions to this, as well as the exec that this was a military helicopter?
So I was not in the Situation Room. I did have a conversation with the Situation Room where the president was located, as well as with Secretary Hegseth. We're exchanging information. I would just note that not just the local team, but the federal team has performed very well in this crisis. I know the president is incredibly concerned about what's happened here today. I'm sure we'll continue to hear more from him, and I'll continue to consult with him and Secretary Hegseth.
When it comes to the resources that you would be able to provide on the federal level, do you feel like you're getting what you need?
Absolutely. The president has committed to this team and to the NTSB through the DOT that we will provide all resources necessary as we go through this recovery, but also the support from FAA and DOT as the NTSB investigates.
Mr. Secretary, do we know the condition of these aircraft? Are they whole? Are they split? Are they pieces?
Again, I don't think we can comment on that. Our focus is on getting the passengers and crew out of the water.
And just one more clarification, because earlier we got guidance that DCA was going to be shut down at least until Friday at 5 a.m. I just heard 11 a.m. tomorrow. Tomorrow. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We can take a few more questions. A question here, and here.
Mayor Bowser, can you just confirm, has anybody been transported to the hospital?
I can't say anything about the rescue operation right now. Who was next? Yes.
Yeah, Chief Donnelly, can you speak a little bit more about the unified command who leads this phase of the rescue and recovery? At what point do you then change phases? And can you describe to us the scene as best you can when first responders first arrive?
So I happened to be listening to the radio this evening when the call came out. I listened to the responders come in, and the initial response, they were very professional, trying to locate this. This is, if you can imagine, the river is a large black spot at night with no lights on it, except for a few buoy lights. So they were out there looking. The boats pretty quickly were able to locate one of the aircraft and get there. So that's what's going on right now. Everybody's working on that. We will reevaluate where we are with the rescue operation in the morning when we get a better sense of it, but we are still out there working, and we're going to continue that throughout the night.
Do you have a sense that there are survivors?
We don't know yet, but we're working.
Is any part of the search happening over land?
No, we're all in the water.
Yes. Oh, you got a question. Somebody didn't get a question. Hold on. Yes.
I just wanted to ask, do you have an estimate yet on how long the recovery efforts will take?
So experiences like this we expect to continue our operations in the fire department for multiple days. And then I would expect the investigation goes longer than that.
Okay, you didn't get a question, and you are next, I think.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Mayor. My question is, do we have any plan to prevent future crash or future accidents? Do we have any to reform the airport control to calm those people who are flying in the next few days? And also, how long the rescue is going to last? Are we going to stop rescue after tomorrow, 11 a.m.? it's like diversity because they are still in the golden hours now?
No, I mean, I think you just heard the chief said we're going to be out there as long as it takes. And we're obviously trying to get to people as soon as possible, but we are going to recover our fellow citizens. Yes.
This is for the chief and Secretary Duffy. How do you balance the search and rescue operation with preserving the scene for the investigation that's now underway?
So, from the fire department's point of view, we are always going to put people first. But I don't think I think our operations, because we have a unified command, we are all working together, and the NTSB is in contact with us, and we will work together to make sure that if there's crucial evidence that it's preserved. And that's something we do every day with our police department on crime scenes and things. So life comes first and everything else is after that.
Okay, last question. Yeah.
Secretary Duffy, I just want to ask, I know it's early, but are there any immediate actions the FAA should take to prevent helicopters and commercial airplanes from getting too close to one another?
So obviously there'll be a review of what happened here tonight. And after the FAA studies what happened, we will take appropriate action if necessary to modify flight paths and permissions.
Do you have any more details about the helicopter mission with the Black Hawk and Mayor Bowser? Have you heard directly from President Trump?
I spoke with the president's national security advisor, and I have not talked to the president yet. And I do not know what the mission was. So let me close by saying again, thank you to the members of the press to help us get information out to the families. The American Airlines number is 800-679-8215. 800-679-8215. And I expect the airport will likely provide additional information in the morning. Thank you.
That's the first update we've gotten so far.
All right, so
after
that's
this
that.
horrific situation in Washington, D.C. They're describing this as a...
I think there were some comments made that there were some comments made that they've kind of moved out of that period of time, with rescue, and now it's recovery. So it's really disheartening, it's really terrible thing. So so they're going to stay closed. They're going to stay in the water until 11 a.m. And really, there's probably not going to be much more coming out. At this point now, the divers will be fighting with hypothermia. So they'll only be staying in the water for a few minutes before they have to go in the bus to warm up. So they'll be probably doing like shifts, who's in the water and who's warming. We did see earlier, one of law enforcement said that they were struggling in the water because there was so much small debris that was floating around. That doesn't sound good, so we won't know till tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and see, so all right, well, it is 12:30 and I need to work tomorrow, so I'm gonna need to. So Black Rose has put up a psalm. God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble. And, prayers for obviously the passengers, the pilot and crew, the families that love them, and the friends that will miss them. And, let's hope the very best case possibility is that this was a terrible, terrible accident. And that's what we should be hoping for. We don't want to live in a world where a military helicopter intentionally hits a commercial airliner. That is not the world we want to live in. So it is really, really a strange accident. Yeah, everybody be safe. Nancy Drew, how is your concussion? How are you feeling? For those of you that don't know, Nancy Drew got a terrible concussion. So she has been dealing with some serious head problems the past week or so. Prayers for everyone. Absolutely, Donna. Yes. I will, Nancy Drew. How is your head? How are you feeling? She must have already left. Hey, Shalimar. I hope you're doing well. Still in bed resting. You go to the specialist on Monday. All right. We'll be waiting for a check-in, okay? Absolutely. All right, everybody. Y'all, as you're praying, keep Nancy in your prayers. She has had a terrible head injury. It is not fun, Scotty. It is tough. And Nancy has really kind of been through the ringer with it. So sorry about that. All right, everybody. You guys have a good evening. Sleep well, and we'll come back tomorrow and talk. I'm drinking water, like the ER said. They checked off all the boxes for concussion for me, except for the vomiting and double vision. Ooh, I'm glad you don't have the double vision. That's awful. All right. Good night, everybody. I appreciate y'all kind of hanging out with me because for a little while I was kind of worried about someone. So appreciate that. Aviation expert looking at the video, the chopper was ascending as the plane was descending. He said that all planes have blind spots. And then Critter Watcher, thank you so much, Critter. Look at my previous post to get you to a place where you can see what a helo pilot says. All right. You guys have a wonderful evening. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. And prayers for all that were injured tonight or on the plane. Good night.